Hello and welcome. This is the Managing Target Enterprise Secrets platform. I'm your host, Shane Petrich. I'm part of the Digital Certificates and Cryptography Services team within the Cybersecurity Solutions Group at Target. I've been at Target for 9 years. The last 6 of them have been with the Cybersecurity Group. Target's made up of a little over 1,900 stores. We have 46 distribution centers, and we're headquartered in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We also have a global capability center in Bangalore, India. A little background on where Target was. About 2013, Target was embracing DevOps and Agile methodology, moving away from waterfall styles of managing our platforms. Teams were automating their processes and their platforms and removing that manual intervention that was introducing just too many problems. We started to expand into the cloud and started to introduce new foundational technologies and new ways of doing work. Our teams were building these environments and coding their applications in new ways and having to store their secrets in different locations. Some of them were putting them in their Git repos. Some of them were putting them in their CI/CD pipeline. So Target Tech noticed that this was a problem and wanted to centralize our secrets management. So the leadership had approached the DCCS team, my team, to solve this need across the enterprise and develop something that was going to be used not only for the new way of doing things, this new DevOps Agile methodology, but also take care of the legacy work that we still had all around the environment. So with good projects like this, we start off with our requirements. We're part of the cybersecurity team, so we naturally gravitated right to the security requirements first. We wanted to ensure least access privileges. We wanted to have a centralized authentication authority that we could tie into. And we needed to run an audit log. We needed to monitor all the activity and notify if there was ever a problem. We had to be stable. We couldn't have a platform that was going to be going up and down and be unavailable one time and available another time. So we had to make sure that it was always there. It was minimize complexity. The fewer things that you have, the fewer things that are going to break. So we wanted to make sure that was a requirement of this whole project. Availability just went right along with that, of course. So we wanted to make sure that we were available even when we when we were doing our maintenance. And if there was ever an outage somewhere, that we would still be able to handle the entire workload for all of our customers at a different location. And lastly, we had to be compliant. We have PCI requirements, Sarbanes-Oxley requirements, HIPAA, et cetera, et cetera. All of our teams are required to meet these requirements. We didn't know what they were going to give us. They were going to store in our environment, so we wanted to make sure that we could cover the whole gamut of all those needs. And lastly, it boils all down to, we need to keep this simple. We need to automate this. We need to make it so that it's not difficult for our engineering teams to consume and our engineering team to support. So after we settled on the requirements, working with all of our business partners and such, we got to working on the build-out. So we started off with, well, how are we going to build this? We looked around. At that time, we really could only build on a compute node. So we went to our partners in infrastructure and started procuring different compute servers and things like that. And we just wanted to make this so that it was the standard. We were utilizing standard offerings. We didn't want to go off and start blazing the trails on something, because this had to be something that was available to everyone. We also wanted to make sure that we had all this stuff automated. At the time we were looking at just a few nodes, but we knew that we would grow. So it's easier to build and script on one node and then replicate that to everybody else versus trying to do a manual process on every single node. That's going to have some problems. Lastly, we had to build this stuff very quickly, so it was fail fast. We would approach a problem, we would work on it. If it just wasn't going to happen, we'd have to pivot and move another way. So what I think back to is back in the day, we couldn't use Terraform Vault plugin because it was just there was deficiencies that we had. So we pivoted away from that and put it back in our orchestration, and then build up our orchestration to handle everything that was going to handle for us. Now that we've built this product, now that we've built this platform in this service, we were going to start taking on customers. So we started off with those customers that we were engaged with on building those requirements at the very start. And we would bring them in and we would manually create their access. We would manually create their policies. We would manually do all this stuff so that we could learn what the process was, but then they could also start consuming it and everything. As we were doing that, as we were working through those, through those onboardings, we started to realize really quickly that, hey, these are just repeatable patterns. We're doing LDAP, we're doing secrets KV. So we go, well, this can be automated. So we sat down and we developed an automation process. We accept requests from our customers, and we use our CI/CD pipeline to execute test and execute the onboarding. So a user will come in and they will give us what they want for their policy, and we will go through and test it out, make sure all the data is good, make sure that those groups are created, and do all those validations. And then when we've reviewed it, we'll go and publish it. Our CI/CD will execute that job and go and add that policy and that in that space to our platform. And then teams can start working and consuming that service. Well, the automation was great. It was set up and everything, but we quickly realized we need to help people. We can't just have something out there and just have it work. So we spun up a chat channel first within our internal Slack, and invited people to it and said, hey, if you have a question, here's the Slack channel, you can engage with an engineer. As we got more and more into things, we had spun up a open lab. So we have a couple of hours every week that we invite anybody and everybody to join in and have a one-on-one talk with one of our engineers that supports this platform. So, it's great time that they get to work with us and, get the problem solved and, just come away happy like that. Also with the automation, with the documentation, we developed a full document site that for those that don't need that, close, partnership, they can just go right to the document site, read on how to onboard, read what's required for them, things like that. We also give them examples. Here's how you consume Vault if you have the Vault binary. Here's how you consume it if you have curl, or if you're working, just hitting the API or with curl or something. And a bunch of other different ones that are commonly used throughout Target here. So we make that publicly available, point people to that, and hopefully they can answer the question, but if not, we're always here to help out afterwards. As we were going through this and we were continuing to grow, we find new things that we want to include in our automation. So as we were finding more and more teams that have regulatory requirements, we found a need, or we were told about a need that the compliance team needs to actually review their request for location. So we modified our onboarding to actually look up their application and go and engage the compliance team if they need to actually use you need to have that second level of approval. So you bring your file, we go and look at the application that you're using secrets for, and if it is under regulatory, the compliance team gets engaged, and we wait while that conversation is occurring. Once that conversation is done, if it's approved by them, we approve it, and there you go. You have your location. So now that we have teams that are actually relying on us, and they're using our platform and building their services on us, we need to make sure that we're always available. So now we're building up our monitoring. So we start off with the basics. Are the computers, are the servers available? Are they up and running? Can it ping, that kind of stuff? Are the CPUs overutilized? Do we take away all the hard drive space? Did we use up all the hard drives? Is Vault running? Is Consul running? Those processes, are they actually there? So we start off with that base, that base monitoring. Then we move into, what does the application give us? Vault has metrics in it. How long did the login take? How long? Who is active in your cluster? Who is sealed? Those are metrics that you can then harvest and display on a monitor board, on a dashboard or some kind. Consul has the same kind of thing. Who's a cluster leader? What is your read-write IOs? Those are important things to be looking at to make sure that your platform is always running successfully and running stably. Next, it was learning from events. So all your monitoring, all of our monitoring at that time, it was the nodes telling us what it was doing. The nodes telling us that it was okay. The nodes telling us that, our platform telling us what it already knows. Well, that's great, when you need that. But if a user cannot get to your platform, well, your platform's down, even though your platform's up, kind of thing. So we developed synthetic testing. So we have remote nodes from different locations that will actually go and execute activities against our Vault clusters. And they will tell us, okay, was it successful? Did it fail? How long did it take? Did it take too long? Did it take, those kind of things. What part of the process failed? Was it at login? Was it at write? Was it at read? So we get these kind of metrics to truly tell us what that user, what that requester is experiencing. And we can actually, again, trend that, watch for it, alert on it if it goes bad. Another topic that we did was we've learned from our RCAs, our root cause analysis, and other teams' root cause analysis. So as everybody experiences outages, everybody experiences incidents, we learn from ours, we analyze and see what happened, but then we also learn and analyze from other people's incidences. So when a foundational service is taken away, if this service failed but your service stayed running, well, why is that? And maybe those learnings could then be shared with other teams. So we truly try to watch for all those different things like that. So now that you've got your platform up and running, you've got it monitored, you've got onboarding that's automated, you've got all this stuff that's working, that's great. Now you're going to have this system running for a while. What are you going to do? Well, we've got maintenance. Everybody has to make sure that stuff is kept up to date and everything like that. So how do you deploy that new version of Vault, that new version of Consul, that new version of whatever other software you might have running? Well, back at your build, or if you're remodifying everything, building for that thought. I'm going to have to do this. We're going to have to do this eventually. Okay, how do I upgrade? Okay, is it going to be just update the config, or is it going to be a tear down and build up? And, work through those processes. Try and make it so that, it is as easy as possible, because you're going to do it a lot of times. And not only are you going to do it for the application, but, if you're like us, we're running on servers. We have to patch these servers. We have to do certificate management. My team is also responsible for SSL certificates at Target. So certificate management is near and dear to our hearts. So we want to make sure that the rotation of those certificates is not only automated, but seamless to the user. A customer should not have an outage just because we're doing maintenance like this. Likewise with, NUID maintenance, and back to patching again. A lot of this comes down to where, how do you have your platform built? Can you take down certain parts of it in a structured way and not impact your users? And lastly, and most importantly, is maintenance for your team. Our platform is successful because of our team that we have behind it. So the care for those team members is paramount. Engaging them, getting them excited. Things like HashiConf, things like your local hugs, where you can learn new things, learn a different way of doing something, or just bounce ideas off of somebody. They're invaluable. Online resources, YouTube, everything that we have is on YouTube, and you can get lost in there very easily. Another great way that we've had people push us is the customers ourselves. So we have very smart people, and they ask us, hey, can it do this? Hey, can it do that? Well, what about this over here? Oh, those are great ideas. Let's partner together. Let's work on that and see where we can go with this. And it's that exploration, or just an engineer might have an idea, and just go and explore. Well, what does this feature do? This new feature just came out from Vault, or came out in Vault. Oh, I want to develop a custom plugin. So actually fostering that and giving them the time really it pays dividends on your platform. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it, and have a great day.